Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your step study session. Were you able to help your participants identify where their distortions about God began? It's so important to correct our view of God because how we see Him shapes our relationship with Him. If we see Him as angry, emotionally distant, abusive, or vindictive, we might approach Him with fear or doubt, which can keep us from being authentic. But when we see Him truly for who He is, we open the door to deep intimacy, emotional healing, and freedom. Our perception of God is often shaped by our earthly experiences, such as family, personal traumas, and cultural influence. Our family and authority figures typically serve as the first models of understanding who God is. Prolonged suffering and unresolved grief can lead us to see God as distant and indifferent rather than compassionate. When our view of God is distorted, it strongly affects how we relate to Him. Instead of surrendering or trusting, which are essential to building a relationship, we may struggle with chronic anxiety, guilt-rooted performance, and emotional isolation. This prevents us from experiencing peace and foster persistent fear of punishment and difficulty accepting grace. Living in a performance-driven culture encourages us to adopt similar attitude, which we carry into our faith. We tend to emphasize our spiritual success through church involvement, achievements, and knowledge rather than the transformation of our inner being. Our spiritual worth is often measured by productivity and hard work or drive, shifting our focus from appreciating unconditional grace to trying to earn divine approval. This leads to exhaustion, hidden shame, or a transactional view of faith. This runs contrary to what Jesus taught his disciples during his last days on earth. Jesus said, "Abide in me, and I in you. As the branches cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he is that he is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing." Vineyards were a familiar part of daily life and a vital crop in Jesus' time. He often used them in his parables because grapevines thrive on regions rocky, terrace hills, making his message clear and relatable. Through his teachings, he shared valuable lessons on bearing much fruit, which means a transformed life rooted in inward spiritual growth, not only with his apostles, but also with us. Remember, success isn't about rushing or trying harder alone. Just as a branch depends on the vine, which is connected to the ground to stay healthy and bear fruit, we need to stay connected to Christ every day to truly flourish. However, many see this chapter as highlighting productivity over fruitfulness. The key distinction is that productivity measures the number of tasks completed through human effort, while fruitfulness emphasizes quality, meaningful growth, and lasting impact, which emerge through organic connection and character. Organic connection occurs within us when our hearts align with God, sharing values, thoughts, emotions that develop naturally without force or pretense. This is similar to the fruit of the vine, which appears naturally when the branches remain in the vine, allowing nutrients from the ground to nourish them and produce abundant fruit. Likewise, merely changing behavior is short-lived, and participating in church activities alone does not make us Christ-like. Eventually, we become exhausted, burned out from trying to appear spiritual or Christ-like, which is not organic or heartfelt. This reminds us of a confrontation with the religious elite in Jesus' time, who equated true spirituality with following tradition as described in this passage. Jesus highlights their hypocrisy and pointing out that the religious elite focus on outward manifestation rather than inner transformation. As the context of this passage shows, sadly, even today, many of us associate spirituality with the number of Bible studies we attended or finished, the number of verses we memorize, the position we attain in our Christian community, or the secular world. Our position in any ministry, how many activities we participated, or the size of our group. These are all productivity, not fruitfulness. Jesus' reaction sets up his broader teaching later in the chapter, in which he explains that people are defiled by evil thoughts, theft, and slander that comes from their hearts, not by eating with unwashed hands. He said, "Do you not see that whatever goes into the mouth passes into the stomach and is expelled? But what comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart, and this defiles a person. For out of the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false witness, slander. These are what defile a person. But to eat with unwashed hands does not defile anyone." Jesus reminds us that the true moral corruption begins within, especially in our hearts, rather than from external things like unwashed hands or food. This message still speaks to us today, as we often focus more on our outward rituals than on genuine transformation within ourselves. In the Bible, the term heart refers to the very core of who we are, the center of our identity, beliefs, and deepest commitments. It is where our true self resides, along with our will and intentions. While people tend to judge by appearance or belief or brief actions, God looks into the heart. The heart also includes what we feel, think. When the Bible mentions thinking in your heart, it shows how our thoughts and feelings are completely linked. Every decision, word, and action comes from the heart. Jesus taught that what we say or do outwardly starts inside our hearts. Our hearts are the place where we choose between good and evil, truth and lies, because the heart guides the direction of our lives. The Bible often reminds us to take care of it and submit it to God instead of focusing on our inner selves. such as our heart, we often turn to external activities that offer only temporary satisfaction. Over time, though, these activities can drain us and deplete our energy because we use them to satisfy our deepest need. That's why Jesus reminded us always to abide in Him. When we face life challenges, we often rely on what we learn from the scriptures or find fulfillment in the work we do in church activities. Yet, we still feel empty. And sooner or later, grow tired of what we do because we never truly understood what Jesus was trying to teach us. Abiding means to remain, to dwell, to continue in a fixed state of or relationship, like a branch connected to a vine. Abiding means drawing our spiritual strength and life directly from Jesus. I remember being involved in many activities and ministries before I understood the heart. I tended to seek approval from the people around me and from the work that I do in the ministry and in my secular work. When you ask me, I talk so much about my ministry, I talk so much about my work. It's all about me. When I did not get the results I expected from the people around me or from the ministry, I felt rejected and it affected my self-esteem. I always look forward to appreciation from the people I work with. If not, I felt embarrassed or a failure as it as if it affected my competence as a human being. God taught me in a hard way not to seek approval from Him rather than from the people around me. My ministry work or my secular work. Over time, I learned to seek my approval from Him rather than from the world system, which is something I'm not used to doing. It took me time for me to accomplish that by regularly abiding with Him and slowly my mindset, my belief system, my emotions adjusted through constant practices. Even when I feel rejection, emotional pain, and discomfort, I never withdrew, which I usually do before. I remain and abide so that I could learn to grow spiritually. Sooner or later, everything in me adjusted to the system, aligning my heart to God's will. Despite what we know and what we do, we get tired, exhausted because we neglected the needs of our hearts in favor of external activities and knowledge, rather than maintaining an unbroken, trusting fellowship with God. It is about resting in His grace, relying on Him for our spiritual growth, and obeying His teachings. When we let God, through Jesus Christ, fill the needs of the deepest part of our hearts, we remain connected to the true vine. And sooner or later, it will transform our external behavior, and we bear much fruit. The root cause of all sin really comes from inside us, our hearts, more than from external temptation or situation. For the internal conditioning of our hearts to change, we must remain attached to the true vine, Jesus Christ. May you have a fruitful week ahead of you, and may God bless you and continue to bless you in the work that you have done. Thank you, everyone.